What's up? Oh, there's no clap.
There's no clap?
We're on that level now.
Nice.
We're
It
on
only
the-
took us like
5 podcasts.
5 podcasts.
No more clapping.
Hear that? That's like podcast people out there.
Yeah,
That's like
man.
a huge breakthrough. That's like if you're doing comedy, you remember to put the mic stand behind you. We've
Yep.
hit that level
If you
of
didn't know.
professionalism. Yeah. So welcome to the obligatory podcast. This is March 6th. I'm Mike Hurley.
And I'm Kermit.
And we're in the studio, and bit by bit,
by
man, we're getting good at this.
We're getting good at this.
Like, look at this. We got decent lighting today.
Yeah.
We got 3 camera shoot. I mean, that's more cameras than the honeymooners had when they were on the air. You know, I feel like a professional. We got these cool little arm things in here, which look, I know we just started doing this, but when I walk into a room and I see these arm things, part of me goes, "These guys are professionals."
Is that what the arms make it look
The
professional?
little arm microphone stands? Yeah, man. I think a little bit. Like, yeah.
It's different because I'm so used to holding a mic.
Yeah, I know.
I'm like,
I know. Now you don't know what to do.
I don't know what to do.
We're taking all the excuses out of why you always suck. Like, and now it's just like I gotta hold my mic over here,
It's
and
the
I got
mic.
the. It's always great too because we like set the mic up on that mini tripod for you. And then you still end up leaning back in the chair holding the tripod, which is against the whole purpose of having a hands-free mic system. Because, like, if you listen back, you'll hear you going.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
But it's okay. It's the most entertaining thing that comes from your microphone. So how you been, man? How was your week? We've been off. We've been
man.
off. We were off all last week. Yeah. So
Well, I've been here, but you've been gone.
yeah. But yeah, I was on the road. It was cool, man. It was like we did 5 different states in like 7 days.
Wow.
And I was working last Friday and Saturday. I was working with Michael Winslow from Police Academy.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. You okay? You got your mic
No,
figured out?
keep going. I'm gonna edit all that out. Don't worry about that.
Yeah, last Friday and Saturday, working with Michael Winslow from Police Academy at the Winter Circle in Lakeland. And I've worked with him a bunch of times, but man, every time I work with him, he's one of those headliners that could just do the same act forever, but every year he's got like new stuff he's adding on. This time around, he does like a whole 10-minute Prince tribute with costumes and like singing Prince, doing all the guitars and everything just with his voice. It's ridiculous.
So he does new voices. He does do the old, helicopter and.
Yeah, he still has some like classic bits. Like one of his bits is doing they play the video of Star Wars behind him. Like,
Okay.
And he does like all the character voices, all the sound effects and everything else. I mean, Michael Winslow is like one of those guys where you say his name and nobody's like, "Oh yeah," but most of the times they're like, "Michael Winslow," and I'm like, "Black guy, Police Academy, sound effects." So like, "Oh," and then you realize all the other stuff he did. He was in like Gremlins. He was in Spaceballs. I mean, he's just one of those, late 80s, early 90s. He was a comic that was on board with, like, pretty much anything
And he
out
did a lot
there.
of cartoons. I know that for
He
a
does
fact.
a ton of voiceover stuff for
Yeah.
cartoons and stuff like that. But, yeah, really, really fun guy. And one of my favorite comedians is Mel Brooks. And, of course, him and Michael worked together on Spaceballs together.
Right.
So, like, before the show, I'm just sitting back there geeking out because he's telling me, like, conversations he's had with Mel Brooks and everything else. I'm like, and he's telling me, like, some of the outtakes from Spaceballs that never made the film.
Really?
I'm like, dude, like, for people like, and you're a bit of a geek, too.
Yeah.
But, like, for people like me, man, I would buy, like, not even steal off the internet, like, if they came out with a video of just the outtakes of Spaceballs.
I was shocked they're not doing a remake of that.
Well, that was something that was up in the air for years, and Mel Brooks has kind of even teased about it, like Spaceballs too, because all the movies that came out, since then, you got a ton of stuff to draw from. And one of the things I liked best about Spaceballs was when he went to do that movie, Mel Brooks went to George Lucas and said, "Hey, I want to do this, spoof of,
Star Wars.
Star Wars." And George Lucas at the time was making so much money off merchandise. He's like, I appreciate your work and everything, but one thing, you can't do any merchandise. So,
Oh, really?
so
Sent it
Mel
to
Brooks, yeah. So Brooks was like, okay. So then there's a scene in the movie where they find Yoda, which is really yogurt,
Right.
I believe, in Spaceballs. And he's like, "Come this way." He's like, "It's the Spaceballs merchandise." And they do that scene where he's like, "Look, talking yogurt and all the figures and everything else." That was a direct, like, kind of jab at
no
Lucas.
kidding.
Yeah. And then also in Spaceballs, when they're on the ship and they're walking through, like, I guess, like the Death Star, and who played Darth Helmet? It was Rick Moranis.
I was gonna say Rick.
Oh God, I should.
Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Yeah, I should kick myself for not remembering that.
Little Shop of Horrors.
They're walking through and they got all the screens and they're like, this is showing this, this is showing this, this is showing this. I guess one of the outtakes was like, this one's tuned into television, and turned into television, and all of a sudden there's just like a bunch of Middle Eastern guys going, la, 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 la. And he's like, oh no, turn it off. That's Tel Aviv. And I guess they decided at the time that was too sensitive.
At the time, that was
so
too sensitive. That was a shocker because, man, back in then, there was no limit.
There was no limit. But the funny thing was when he was telling me about doing Blazing Saddles, like Michael Winslow was talking about to Mel Brooks about when he did Blazing Saddles, and that was another one that just kind of pushed boundaries. And when they did the original screening for the movie, studio execs, one of the studio guys came in and grabbed like Mel Brooks. He's like, you need to cut out this scene, like where they punched a horse. He's like, we're never gonna be able to put that. And then like there was the farting scene. You need to take that out. And Mel Brooks was like, oh yeah, take it out, got you, take it out. And Mel Brooks the whole time didn't remove a thing because in his contract he had full creative end product, whatever. Okay. So he just said, he's like, yeah, whoever gets this guy off my back, I'll take it out. And then, of course, they released it, and it was a hit. And then all the execs are like, oh, no, we knew it was going to be fine.
Yeah, there's a movie out on Netflix right now that covers, was it National Lampoon? Mm-hmm. The director of that.
Oh, yeah.
Man, I'm drawing a blank on names. But, yeah, it's really good. That's all I have to say.
Did you watch the whole thing?
Yes. It's awesome.
What was the name of it? It was a mild
something, man. But it's really good.
Yeah. I actually watched it. It goes over how they met it was Harvard, right? Mm-hmm. They met at Harvard, and they were doing the Lampoon,
magazine.
And they went and did the magazine, and then it built up, and they had some kind of deal where after 5 years, the publisher of the magazine, because they went under someone else's publishing license, and that guy was doing like food magazines or something.
I want to say food magazine or something silly like home garden or something like that.
And then they had made so much money that after 5 years they didn't have the money to buy them out, and like there was some physical altercation.
He didn't want to pay the guy the money. And
yeah.
Then he quit. It's a whole thing. Then he started doing drugs. And
no, I think those guys were doing drugs the entire time. I watched it the other day. It's kind of like a loose autobiographical movie, a futile and stupid gesture.
Yeah, it is. It's good, man.
And it's about National Lampoon co-founder Doug Kenny. And, they talk about a lot of guys like, how Second City brought John Belushi and everything to SNL. But the part you never hear is how he was with, like, the National Lampoon's crew before that, like doing live National Lampoons, and SNL basically just stole all these great guys.
Chevy Chase.
Yeah. The only thing
Bill Murray.
Yeah. Bill Burr.
Bill
Murray.
Bill Murray. Yeah.
But I think in the movie though they had Gilda Radner as one of the National Lampoons, which she was not. She was not, but they even throw her in there. Like, we might have added some stretch.
Oh, really? She wasn't part of it?
No.
Oh,
no.
But she was part of SNL.
Yes.
As a writer, I think, though.
No, she was an actress.
An
she was
actress,
on the
okay.
Yeah. So, and Gilda Radner, of course, also was married to Gene Wilder.
Kiss? No, Gene Simmons. Man, I am horrible at names.
Gene Wilder, which brings us back to Mel Brooks, because Gene Wilder used him in a ton of stuff.
Gene Wilder, my bad.
Yeah, Gene and Gilda. What a great dude. What a hysterical couple to hang out with. Just go over that. Gene Wilder and Gilda Radner.
That'd be ridiculous. Madness.
It'd be ridiculous. So, yeah, man. So I did shows with him Friday, Saturday. Then Sunday through Thursday, I was on the road with Dustin Diamond. And
Screech,
Saved by the Bell. Yep. I picked him up in Charlotte, North Carolina, then right to the gig in Greenville, South Carolina at the Comedy Zone. Then the next night we were in Atlanta at the Punchline, and then the next night we were at the Birmingham Stardome in Alabama. Then the next night we were stand-up live in Huntsville, Alabama. Then the last night of the run we were in Nashville, Tennessee at Zanies, which was my first time there. It was a great club. And then it was just That was just ridiculous because I drove him to the airport, and then I had an 11-hour drive back to Orlando.
Damn.
Yeah.
And you're up and down.
Yeah.
Do people still bust his chops about the whole stabbing thing?
No, because I think once he stabbed someone, that kind of cut off anyone who
Nobody wants to talk trash.
Before then, it was fun. Like we'd hang out, and I'll say this about Dustin. Like he's got some bad press about him, but he'll be the first to admit, there's stupid shit he did early on that he's still paying for. But I mean, for the most part, when I hang out with him, like if we're out in public and we're grabbing something to eat and someone comes up like, hey man, I was a big fan of the show. Can I get a picture with you? He's like, awesome. The people he hates are the ones that like sit there staring, don't say anything, and then they'll like walk by the table and do that selfie snap, or they'll send their kids over to like play by the table. And it's like,
I'm guilty of that.
Yeah. He's like, dude, just come say hi. And I get it. Some people are like, well, if I ask, he's going to reject,
Or you don't want to bother them.
Yeah.
Like
you don't want to bother him, but then it's like creepy as fuck too. Like if you did that move to any normal person, people be like, why the fuck is this guy taking pictures of me?
I'm making fun of you on Snapchat, dick.
So for the most part, but he is like, we usually hang out after every show, and he likes hanging out with the staff and stuff like that. But, he's pretty cool if he finds people to hang out with on the road that are just like into just hanging out and being mellow.
Right.
But if it's going to be like, assholes and stuff, he's like, dude, let's just grab some food and go back to the hotel. So
that's cool, man. You had an eventful comedy weekend.
Yeah, man. And then this week, nothing, because that's how comedy goes.
And I'm opposite. I got a bunch of crap this week.
Where are you at this week?
Well, starting tomorrow. I was out last night, open mic, but I didn't do anything.
Yeah.
I witnessed a fight, but that was about it.
You didn't witness a fight.
I heard about it. I should have been there. I pictured it in my head.
You were like, when it started, you're like, I need an alibi. I need to get as far away from this as possible. The one time Ken Miller needs you and you're not there.
Nah, I left. I ninja'd out of there. Mm-hmm. No, I got a roast tomorrow.
Oh, where at?
Hourglass
Pub up in Longwood, right? Yeah, that's the Real Laughs guys running that.
Yeah,
right?
Real Laughs guys are doing
James John, Devin Siebel, Miguel Colon.
But I think it's only Ken Miller
judging
and Miguel judging.
Okay.
I don't think Devin's there.
And you're roasting someone.
I'm roasting. It could be one person or it could be 3 guys. Because it's tournament style, so it's by brackets, which stinks.
Oh man!
So you gotta write jokes for
it.
8 comics.
It seems like you should just
focus on one person.
And then the next, like you come back to someone
like
else. You take out your guy. You advance.
Whoever
to
you
next
beat,
week.
like, then you go against each other. That's how I told them to do it.
That's a better show.
And they're like, "No, let's do a tournament." I'm like,
No.
So it could go well or it can go real bad.
Well, if you get knocked out first round, you should go sell all your other jokes you writ to like the guy who advanced.
If I get knocked out the first round, I'm gonna be really upset.
Why is that?
Because the person I'm going against, I just do not feel like he's a strong roasting. comic.
That's always when it hurts the most.
And that's when it hurts the most.
But I hear inside track, there's a rumor that someone's ghostwriting.
He's got a ghostwriter.
Oh man.
Yeah.
That's some bullshit.
We'll find out. I'm not worried about it.
But you know what? A lot of people do that. A lot of people, like on those roast battles, New York and everything else. Like we've had some friends on there, and before they go in, they hit up people they respect and appreciate and be like, "Hey man, what do you think of this joke?" Blah blah blah. But as far as like just having someone write every joke for you, and I've wrote jokes for a couple of roasts actually.
You helped me out on mine. I mean, I have no problem.
You're good at it, man.
But like,
you're good.
When someone says, "Yeah, I got a ghostwriter," I'm like, "Yeah." You didn't even try.
I actually, what was it? 2 years ago at the Adult Video Awards, they were doing. I'm not sure if it was the Adult Video Awards, I believe, but it was being held up in Canada. Screech, Dustin Diamond hit me up because they were roasting Ron Jeremy.
Okay.
And Dustin's like, "Hey man, can you help me with some roast jokes? This wasn't really my thing." And I'm like, "Can I write roast jokes for Ron Jeremy?" Yeah. And like the first thing I do while I'm writing a roast joke is I go, okay, what's the most obvious shit that everybody else on that dais is going for? And then I throw that away because that's going to get stepped on. If they're fat, I don't do a single fat roast joke unless, someone's rarely do you go that long without someone hitting on it. You write a couple to have in your hip pocket, but by the time you get up there and everybody's already called him a fat fuck, what you got?
Right.
So I went up there, I researched Ron Jeremy, learned about his parents, everything else, wrote a whole bunch of shit about that.
Disgusting research.
And and it's funny, I sent it to Dustin. Dustin's like, "Oh, these are good. I might use a couple." I'm like, "Oh, okay." He's like, "I wrote some of my own stuff." I'm like, "All right, perfect." And then someone sneaked a video of it, and I saw, And Dustin went up and started with a joke that I didn't know, I didn't write, and it got nothing. And automatically you see him take those stack of note cards, put them aside, and go to like printed out papers, which were obviously
jokes.
my jokes. And one of the jokes I wrote for him was, Ron, you and I are so much alike, you know. We're both older. We're both nice Jews. The only difference is, you know, you did 20,000 pornos and built a career. I did one, and it ruined mine. And he didn't want to do it. I'm like, dude, do it because it's self-deprecating. But number two, every other motherfucker on that dais is going to take a shot at you for doing a porn. You get out of the gate, you do it against yourself.
You be rabbit, everybody.
You be rabbit them, exactly.
Yep.
What else you got to say about me, you
Yep.
know?
Yep.
So that was fun. And then last year,
No invite to the AVN Awards?
No,
Thanks,
and
Screech.
you know I would have gone.
No shit.
And
Damn.
then what sucks is there's a meme going around from that award show and that specific joke with Dustin Diamond underneath it. I'm like, motherfucker, you know.
No kidding.
I'm like, where's my? Because someone sold the video of it, and I'm like, where's my percentage for writing that? And then last year, Dustin was actually going out to a show in San Francisco, and on his way out there, they were like, oh yeah, it's gonna be a roast of Dustin Diamond, and he's like, what? They're like, yeah, we got some like 8 local comics who are going to come up and roast you, and then you just do stand-up at the end. And he's like, well, that doesn't sound fair.
That sounds horrible.
So I got on the phone with the guy running. I'm like, well, dude, that sounds ridiculous because that's not how a roast works. You know, the guy gets to rebut, and you guys all know Dustin. He doesn't know any of you. So I'm like, I need bios, and I sent over a form like for all the comics on the dais to fill out. And then like in 24 hours, we just wrote like jokes. And while he's in the cab driving there with the one of the guys from the show, he's in the Uber. Same thing. He's like reading some of his jokes off, and they're like, eh. And then he'd read one of mine. They're like, dude, that's hysterical. Do that one. So he wrote me back. He's like, once again, fuck you and thank you.
That's great.
Yeah. So I like writing for roasts. And who you going up against, man?
A guy named Bill Kirkpatrick. Whatever.
Yeah. You got some stuff ready?
Yeah. We'll show. I mean, I don't have it on me, but
maybe we can get a recording, play it next week.
I think I got a couple because I heard a lot of rumors about him.
Yeah, we don't want to put him out there because
someone to hear it.
We don't want to prepare.
Like
what this gets released the day after the show.
I'm trying to remember if I even remember the jokes I wrote. I think I wrote something like, "There's a rumor flying around that you hit your wife. That's the only punchline you can hit, apparently."
Wow.
Is that good?
Wow. I don't know if it's good, but man, you're definitely going to win the male or female vote. You know?
I said something like he looks like a teacher. He's a teacher too. He looks like a teacher that the students beat up and take his lunch money.
Wow.
Or something stupid like that.
You know though, it's like if you're in a state job or a county job or a city job and you have somewhat of a sketchy history, maybe throwing yourself into the center spotlight of a roast battle against some comics where your dirty laundry is going to come out.
Yeah.
Like, did you hear about this woman out in Crystal River, the teacher out there?
Oh, the one that banged the 14-year-old?
No, that happens every week.
Oh.
This was out in Crystal River. They just found that this woman who was going by alias running a podcast of all white power type stuff.
Oh, yeah.
It turns out she's a middle school teacher in, guess where? Crystal River,
But
Florida.
it's Crystal
River. And then she's like, well, what I do on my own time shouldn't affect my job. But on her podcast, she says, what I've been doing is secretly slipping my thoughts and theories onto these children. She teaches social studies.
Oh, boy.
So she says she's incorporating the beliefs of... Plus, Crystal River, the school out there, is like 95% white kids anyways. Yeah, they have like 4% black or something like that. So it wasn't hard to...
Man, I kind of want to listen to it.
Oh, yeah.
I got to go find that.
But, yeah, man, that's... the power. So what I'm saying is maybe teachers should keep their comedy or go by a stage name or something.
Yeah, Southern Alien, man, what a dumbass.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Well, good luck with that, man. What else you got, though? You're at the Improv Thursday,
I'm
right?
at the Improv Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hosting a show for a puppet.
For a puppet. Finally, you're bigger than someone on stage. Nice.
They asked somebody named after a Muppet to host a puppet show.
Wow.
Thanks, Improv.
You opening with that?
I should.
Yeah, why not?
Why not?
Yeah, you should throw it in somewhere.
I should pop out the box where the puppet comes from.
Hey, So have you worked with this guy before? The guy
No,
that does
man.
Have you worked with this puppet
I've
before?
never worked with this puppet. No.
I hope it's one of those guys that has a puppet and only talks to you through the puppet. Like
Oh,
even
like he
off
won't
stage,
break character?
like won't let you in the green room. Like he'll talk to you like, "Hey, look, I'd let you in there, but Frank, he's just not. He had a long trip, you know." Just like you're not even allowed in the green room.
No, I can't. I want to do
Other slutty puppets are
Yeah,
walking out of the green room.
I want to do this for the stories. I really want to do this just for. I was like, this. This can't go any. Can't go
I
wrong.
wish I was there when you got the call. Yeah, just like, hey, you want to go? Can you last minute host at the Improv? The Improv A Room, my hometown. Yeah, who is it? Chris Rock? What we got coming to town? Is it Mencia, Pablo Francisco?
Right.
It's a puppet.
It's a puppet.
It's a
named Joselito.
Dude.
He's a Puerto Rican puppet.
Okay, but the guy that has the hand up the ass, what nationality is he?
He's apparently a Puerto Rican.
Apparently.
I guess.
This
I
could
don't
be
know.
the most racist puppet show ever. This could be like just.
I don't know, because like his
This could be
Spanish
like
is,
old vaudeville when people put on blackface. It could just be a white dude like, oh, I'm gonna do every stereotype with a Hispanic puppet.
Oh, he does. I saw his.
Yeah.
He speaks Spanglish.
So okay. So as long as the audience knows that hand is brown, it's okay.
I mean, we'll see.
We'll see.
We'll see tomorrow.
I hope the puppet sells merch after the show.
He does.
Yay!
He has T-shirts and
Yay!
toys.
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
I'm gonna come out.
Are you gonna come out?
Yeah, I'm gonna come out. I'm gonna come out. Not so much to watch the show, just to see how you handle yourself opening for a puppet. Because up to this point, my worst gig ever opening for was midget wrestling, and I think you have a chance of beating that. Like, and if you think about it, midgets are like living puppets. They're just like tiny little, no hands up their ass, and they smell. But that's a whole different thing.
But like, what I'm curious about is he gonna do like the old like talent shows, old school?
He's got to have the box that he hides behind, right?
Right. Is he doing, or is he just like a
like a
puppet,
ventriloquist?
like the one that lost to that beat preacher?
Yeah.
Like,
Oh,
like
yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I think from the clip I saw, it's probably gonna have the little box, and then if that box is set up before you go on
That's
stage,
what I once
you
said.
you should go behind the box, and,
Hey!
and then he'll get pissed. He's like, "Hey, no one goes behind the box." Your box takes up the whole stage. Now I'm talking about ex-girlfriends. Never mind. All right. All right. Moving on.
So yeah, so those are my two big shows. Then Friday I have a show in Broken Cauldron. I never did that.
That's ran by
Leslie Joe.
Leslie Joe. Yep.
New place.
I've
but
heard good things.
Yeah,
It's
that's what I
been
heard
going
too.
for a while.
I never
Like
been.
I think they've had a monthly showcase for a while.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I got that. But that's it.
So
That's what I
cool.
got planned. And
Cool. man.
Saturday I don't do nothing.
Nice.
Sunday.
Nice. Yeah. When we were in Atlanta, I went to Atlanta probably about 5 years ago with Kevin White. We were doing a room just north of Atlanta for Bonkers up in Roswell. And after the show, we always ask the locals where we need to go. And someone said the Clermont Lounge. And I'm like, what is it? They're like, we can't tell you what it is. It's just an experience. You got to go. And we're like, okay. So Kevin and I go. And it's one of those places you pull up, and the hotel itself is condemned. Like, you can look inside and see boards and planks and everything down on the ground. You can't go in. And then there was just, like, a homeless dude. He's like, y'all looking for the Claremont? I'm like, yeah, we are. Go down that alley. And, like, all of a sudden, I'm like, Kev, we're going to get fucked up. We're going to get mugged. But we were like, let's go.
And you guys went.
And it was rickety wooden stairs that went behind the hotel down the alley. And then you turn around, and there was just a mob of people waiting to get in the store. And dude, I was like in my mid-30s. I'm like, I don't wait on lines for anything anymore. And some guy behind me in line was like, no, you want to wait for this. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah. And then we get there, and it's like $10 cover. And I'm like, I'll pay cover. And the same guy's like, no, you want to go. And we walk inside, and it's like it's supposed to be a strip club.
Okay.
But it's like their slogan is where strippers go to die.
I want to go.
It is the most. You can't close your eyes in there. You walk in there, they got this. It's a rundown piece of shit dive, and you walk in there, and they got a bar. But at the time, you could either get canned beer or you could get liquor, and the shots came in medicine, like paper disposable medicine cups. All right,
like the Listerine kind
yeah,
of
like those, but it had like the milliliters on the side and stuff like that. And then they got the stage behind the bar where the dancers dance, and they had an old school jukebox, and the girls, I say girls, no one in there under 60. No dancer under 60.
Bad knees.
horrible. And they go up, and they got every costume from like Spirit Halloween shop. You know, like, oh, I'm sexy little Bo Peep. No, you're not. You know, but they're dancing, and there's the jukebox, and they have to play their own music. There's no DJ, so they dance to kind of like silence until you give them $1 to put in the jukebox and play their own song. Now, so. When we were in Atlanta, I told Dustin, I'm like, we're going to Claremont Lounge. And I sold them as it was like the hottest strip joint in Atlanta, and then had the staff at the Punchline being like, oh, yeah, you want to go there. So he was all pepped up to go. And as soon as we walked in, he's like, fuck you, I love this place. And it was horrific, dude. It's
like a dusk till dawn, like, and they turn into vampires.
Oh, man. When I was there the first time and she wasn't there this time, everybody's like, they did the same thing to me, because they told me and Kevin, oh, you want to go? It's amazing. And then as soon as you walk in, you're like, oh, I get it now. But they're like, there's a girl named Barbie, and she crushes beer cans with her breasts. And you're just thinking to yourself, man, that must be a good-looking blonde with like triple D's and everything else. It was a midget Tina Turner. She had to be 75. And she had those pancake flappy National Geographic, and the way she would crush the beer can, there was no sexiness about it. She put a beer can on the table, lift the flapjack up, and just let gravity take its toll. And I told Kevin that night after like 3 medicine shot glasses full of Jameson, I'm like, my first album is going to be Mike Hurley live from the Claremont Lounge. And I stand by that. The only thing they've changed is now they have one of those digital jukeboxes rather than the old
fancy
ones. Yeah, and we closed that place down, man. It was ridiculous. Just it's a experience and an event.
That's
and
a bucket list now.
If you're in Atlanta, Georgia, you have to go to Claremont Lounge. It will make every other place you've been seem like not so bad. so yeah, so that was a good time.
Yeah, apparently.
Oh man, we had a great time.
And
Yeah.
I met my baby's mama there.
And I met my baby. Oh man, the nice thing is if you go home with those strippers, that tubing hasn't worked in years, so you don't have to worry about getting a burger.
You have to worry about other things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Anything else? What you got?
No, man. That's pretty much it. I didn't really. That's it, man. I just had a kind of chill week.
Mm-hmm.
Last weekend it was really heavy on comedy.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Yeah.
you know.
I will tell you this. I decide I hate old people again.
Again.
Not just those strippers at the Claremont Lounge. They were really nice, by the way. They're all very nice. They have to be. That's one of those places where you need a personality.
Right.
Yeah, on my way up there, man, I stopped at McDonald's at like 6. I left.
Okay, go on.
You know where this is going? I stopped at McDonald's at like 6 a.m. on my way up to pick him up in Charlotte, North Carolina. And I go in, I'm grabbing my breakfast. I've been driving for like, 5 hours or something already. And I go in, and there's a guy in front of me in line. He's like this old dude, and he's like fumbling with his money and everything else. And I'm just like, oh, I'm going to be like that. He had the suspenders and the belt, double security. And I see him fumbling with all his money and everything else, and he finally pays, and he steps out of the way. He gets his food. I order my food. And I look down, and where he was standing, there was like a $5 bill. So I pick it up, and I go sit down, and he's sitting down, and I'm like, do the right thing, I'm like, excuse me, sir, I was behind you in line. I believe you dropped this. And he's like, oh, my God, thank you so much. I've been looking all over for that. He's like, God bless you. I'm like, hey, no problem. And I sat down feeling like, yeah, I did the right thing, did a good job. Could have paid for my own breakfast,
Right.
But I'm like, nah, it's all right. It's all right. Because my breakfast came out to $5.19. So part of me was like, this is a break-even stop, So he gets up, leaves. I'm still eating. He comes by my table. He's like, once again, son, God bless you. He's like, it's hard to find honest people in the world today. And I'm like, no problem. Remind me of my granddad. Walked out. I get up to throw my stuff away like 2 minutes later, and there's a woman holding a baby on her hip, and she's just into it with the cashier. She's like, I swear I didn't take it. And the cashier's like, well, I gave it to you. I put it right there. And she's like, I didn't take it, though. I'm like listening in while I'm refilling my drink. And she's like, are you sure? She's like, yeah, it was $5. And I'm like, motherfucker. So,
oh, man,
so all my good karma points now mean nothing, because basically I just helped the old man in the master heist of a $5 bill. I'm an accomplice now.
Oh, man, Jenkins
So-
strikes again.
So I've got this whole trip was about karma because I rented a car and didn't get the insurance.
Oh.
So the whole trip, I'm just like, you know, even when I'm walking out of a hotel, I'm like, should I leave 3 or 5 for the housekeeper? I'm like, I'll leave 3. 3 is fair. I was only here one night. I cleaned up the whole place. Oh, fuck it, 5 because I can't have anything happen. I'm like a big believer in karma, which is shit. So I walk up to the woman. And I'm like, are you missing something? She's like, yeah, you know, apparently she gave me my change and now I can't find it and blah, blah, blah. And you could tell she needed this 5.
Okay.
And I was like, well, you know, I found a 5 on the ground. I gave it to a gentleman who was in front of me. I thought it was his. He took it. And I opened my wallet and I gave her 5. She's like, no, I don't want you to do that. I'm like, no, I want you to have it. She's like, are you sure? I'm like, yeah, I'm sure. And she's like, thank you so much. And she walks away. No, God bless you. But she, you know, I've got 2 already. So then I'm feeling like shit. Because now I'm down $5.
Okay.
You know?
Okay.
So I get in the car, and I'm just, like, kind of pissed at myself. I'm pissed at the old man. He threw in God bless yous, for Christ's sakes. He sold it. He didn't just say, oh, thank you. He's like, I've been looking for that, you know?
Nice.
And then stop by the table again as a fuck you, God bless you. Like, oh, it's so hard to find honest people. Yeah, because you're not one of them. You're not going to find them in the mirror, asshole. So then I get in the car, and I start driving. I'm kind of, like, pissed. And I'm like, McDonald's owes me $5 because that's where I lost it.
Okay.
So I've never done this before. But for the next, like, 3 states I went through, rather than stop and get a new soda and pay and everything, I just walked into random McDonald's with my cup from the first McDonald's and just filled up. I just filled up.
That's genius.
I've never done that.
Really?
And I did it, and here's the thing. I stopped at 5. I made my money back. I kept the cup. I went through a lot of soda staying up, but I stopped at 5 because fair is fair.
Right.
And, and that stupidly made me feel like, all right, I got my money back.
Man, I thought I used to do worse than that then.
Yeah?
In high school, I used to have cups for every fast food place.
Really?
So I have Burger King, McDonald's, Taco Bell, and then wherever I go, I just take it out of my car, go fill it up, and then go to school.
It's not enough you people suck welfare off us. You got to go around stealing from hardworking white folks companies like that. Man, well, like right now there's people listening going, shut up, both of you. They're going to get us all. They're on to all of us now.
Hey, it's okay, man.
Free refills in every state.
I paid already once.
Yeah. I like how like 7-Eleven once a year does free unlimited Slurpees with this cup. Yeah, you buy this cup and you get Slurpees whenever you want. It's like, dude, we do that all year round.
All year round. What are you talking
You just don't know. You just got to wait for the right crowd to be there. You can't be the only one in the store. So, all right, man. Well, we said we are going to keep this one short today.
Yeah, man.
Because that's the feedback we're getting is people enjoy the shorter episodes, which is a nice way of, I don't know.
Wrap it up. That's what they're saying.
I don't know what that means. You know, it's like we want more shorter episodes rather than less longer episodes. It's the same amount.
It also helps me in my editing.
Oh, now we get down to it. Now we get, because we got this fucking 3-camera shoot going on, and dude, I have to go with whatever you say because
I'm the one suffering.
You're the one who does everything.
Yeah.
Like I love how I just say, hey, can we do this? And you're like, I can see your gears turning. You're like, yeah, sure, why not? That's just gonna be 6 more hours of my life this week, just so you can come back and say, wow, that looks like shit. Can we do this instead?
Hey, man, I'm opening for a puppet. All right, back off.
We'll see. Thursday's not here yet, bitch. You could get the call tomorrow and be like, Bill Kirkpatrick took the gig. All right. Well, so that's going to be it for today. And, you've been doing a great job on the clips, though, man.
Oh, yeah.
I really like those clips.
Thanks, man.
And, I want to get
Even though I got to give credit to someone else. Steven Sanchez. He is the brains behind
doing the clips and everything. Well, thank you for listening to Steven Sanchez.
Yeah.
And, I haven't met him yet, but he's been very supportive of the show.
Yeah,
which is awesome.
And he's an awesome artist, so you guys should check him out if you decide to.
How can they find him?
Steven Sanchez or Art of Sanchez
and
on YouTube.
What's he done?
He's done a lot of art.
Yeah, is he the one that got you the?
He's on he did Batman and stuff like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice, man.
Batman coloring.
Check his
books.
stuff. Cool.
Yeah, but that's a whole different discussion. But anyways, so with that said, I'm out. Mike's out.
Yep. We'll talk to you
later.
next time.